So Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha. Since Warren Buffett has been a net seller of Apple stock, which companies do you like that he owns in his top 10 holdings?
Well, he has American Express, so that goes back to the point in the Dow. I love Moody's. I don't think we talked about Moody's enough. We talked about it maybe, I think, in 2021. Ticker is MCO. I love that. And then Chubb is another one, which is an insurance company that is publicly traded. That's his bag. So he owns a great percentage of GEICO. So financial services is what he likes to lean on. American Express is amazing. I don't like that he was a net seller of Apple, of course, but if I had that many billions invested in, I would as well. So American Express, Apple, Chubb, I like. Kraft Heinz is okay. Coca-Cola is okay, but those are the three I would definitely lean on to hold for like a 4 or 5 year period.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting ones is Oxy.
That's a good point.
Petroleum. It wasn't something that he usually would have been invested in, but if you look at the news over the past 5 to 6 years, you can see the investment criteria has changed a little bit, and he's allocated more funds, more shares into Oxy, which I had never heard of until I started seeing him invest. And it was like, all right, well, if he's investing in it, let me do some research as to why. And so, yeah, he has Chevron on the portfolio as well, but he's also in Occidental Petroleum as well. So that's one of those interesting ones.
He used to bet heavy in Exxon as well.
Right.
So if he's in Oxy, Exxon, and Chevron, isn't that technically a short against the EV space?
I mean, look at it like that, right? Right.
EV space some bullshit, yo. I'm gonna be honest. This is my I'm gonna be real. What it takes to make the post about the Congo and all that, like the resources that it takes to have an EV car is not as clean as it was once purported to be.
Yeah, you have to have certain resources. I actually have an EV.
You do?
I do. I'm happy with the EV, but I can understand the process. If you're a first-time owner or if you're trying to get one, it can be difficult.
I mean, they tried to make it seem like it was a much cleaner version.
There's a bunch of stations. The wait time is a crazy. The price. That was one thing I was surprised by. Like, if you're not a member of one of these organizations that has an EV station, like you pay a premium.
Absolutely.
And so your gas price and your EV, the charging price could almost be the same. But for your electric bill too, they're like, all right, well, I have a charger at my house. Well,
it adds up.
Your electric bill is part of that. So,
and with the tariffs that we're putting on China and China's putting on us, that's going to be interesting to see. Will like Lee Automotive or something like China now take the lead in the EV space?
Did you see the proposed tariffs that the administration is looking to have on China going forward?
No, I didn't.
I think there was like a 25% tariff on semis. It was like the numbers were crazy.
Oh, y'all gonna make them go invade Taiwan?
Oh yeah, it was.
I mean, tax me for the semis? Oh man,
that was crazy. The numbers are crazy. Yeah, if you haven't looked, go look. I think Biden's administration, they recently talked about the proposed tariffs on China.
Did they criticize Trump for putting them tariffs?
I don't know. Allegedly, they could have.
This is a tricky political season, man.
They could have.
Tricky.
So, okay. Let's talk about, since we're talking about EVs, do you ultimately believe that China will be the leader in the EV space?
If Tesla does not make a hard correction, and that is our preeminent star, it could happen in the next 3 or 4 years. Like BYD's, have you seen their trucks? Beautiful. They're like they almost look like baby Bentleys or Rolls Royces or something. I don't know, because of course, like Mercedes is pulling back because the EQS hasn't been as successful as they thought it was going to be.
It looks nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
GM and Ford aren't investing as heavily. So if you don't have the major automotive companies here investing in EV, which is also another sign that it may not be everything it was cracked up to be. And they take the lead, and they are kind of blocking Elon from operating in China as much as he wants to when you have your own brands there. I don't see how in 5 years, especially if he doesn't get off the cocaine, which is allegedly.
Alleged. Please.
We'll talk Wednesday. Last week, prophecy. But
prayers.
I really do believe that we will lose that race in the long term. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about reliance on petroleum, and we talked about the greatest investor of all time and the things he's invested in. It's very interesting from an American standpoint. From the Chinese standpoint, innovation is something that they've let in for years. And so it feels that way. It feels like the craze for Tesla has quieted down. And people, and we talked about this plenty of times, we're not looking at Tesla as an EV company.
Yeah.
We're looking at it as its totality, as a tech company.
Yeah.
Yes, they make EVs. So, and from that standpoint, I think there is some trouble there. BYD is, I mean, for everything that we've seen, is, if not better, just as good a product. And if there are tariffs, we're talking about on shipping, like, what the point of getting an American vehicle if I can have a company that's here that I'm not going to have to pay a premium on to have? So it'll be interesting. But you're right. The American cars, if we think about EVs, who are the companies that we think about here? I mean, we just saw the G-Wagon, which was nice from Mercedes, but outside of that, the Taycan with the Porsche. But outside of that, I mean, what is the vehicle?
I don't think we have a premium vehicle that just looks amazing. And then I think we're in a changing of the guard of a lot of industries, just like how OpenAI came in when everyone was being comfortable with social media. They came in and built a real product that people needed.
Yeah,
a lot of that has happened in other spaces. I think BYD, the stock may not be performing as well because China has their own list of issues. But even though Druckenmiller, Michael Burry is heavily back invested in Alibaba, which I thought was fascinating. But if they start to make a recovery, I think we're going to see by 2026, like a lot of companies that were in the lead, they're going to lose their lead by not being focused and not delivering on their product they promised.
We thought, and I'll be guilty of that, we thought Rivian would perform a lot better than it has.
Yeah.
We saw, Nikola, that was a joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rivian has been kind of a disappointment.
Yeah, I've seen more of those cars on the road,
especially with the partnership with Amazon coming into it from a delivery standpoint. I have seen a few delivery vehicles. You don't see them as much on the road, right? That's that gauge. Like, I think Shadi uses that test, like the eye gauge. Yeah. Do I see these things out here? Not really. Not really.
They look amazing. Like, what's the last beautiful car you've seen?
Beautiful car?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really a car person, but I like, there's some nice cars out there.
Are they American made?
American made? Probably not. No.
That's tough. When you can't, like, people, I know some people put Corvette probably, but outside of that, there aren't that many.
Corvette? Yeah, I'm not a Corvette guy.
Yeah, me either. But shout out to Chevy. I want to run every relationship.
I'm a Mercedes guy.